That's like the worst way you can cough. Why can't I move? Why can't I taste? Why can't I breathe?
Oh, Isaac's butt flaps. It's that time of year again.
You heard that, right? I was breathing. Why can't I breathe, though?
That's right, everybody. It's time for our second reconvene of the year when Andy and I review all the games we played in a 6-month period.
How am I alive?
We call this our rapid review rundown for the second half of 2023.
Why are we not panicking that we can exist but can't breathe?
Sounds like Andy's about to panic and someone just grabbed a Wonderflower. So before things get really confusing, how about a quick rundown of the rules? We only review games we played a significant portion of or beaten, that released between the release of our earlier rapid review rundown and this video, and that we haven't reviewed separately.
You're focused on our reviews, but we're flowers, and a giant hammer just appeared above us. Our priorities are not the same!
How about we begin before things get so much worse? Oh, stick around after our reviews for our Game of the Year award show. Why don't we start with something great? Small Saga. This Kickstarter turn-based RPG involves a story of a kingdom broken up into several different societies of squirrels, rats, moles, ferrets, basically any rodent-like creature, to make up Rodentia. On your isometric travels, you'll take on the role of Verm, a rat who lost his tail and brother to a god, just a human who was trying to do fumigation while the pair were attempting to get food for their family. Verm lost his brother, his tail, and his want for anything that isn't vengeance.
Along the way, you'll recruit characters like not even trying to pronounce that name. The Mole with a lighter, Bruce the Squirrel Bard with a pencil flute, and Gwen an epic rat with prosthetic legs and a scalpel spear. Each of them have their own societal worries you'll solve with conversation, MacGuffins, and diplomacy.
Violence. Most issues in this game are solved with violence.
Every civilization you meet has some monumental task to take on that can only be solved with a variety of weapons and accessories to equip, as well as skill points to spend. Be it an aggravated cat, a clan of gray squirrels with a leader that vapes, or a series of events that leads you to be imprisoned by said clan of squirrels. All manner of problems you face will be met with violence in the exquisite turn-based combat system reminiscent of Golden Sun.
Other than the very well-designed battle system, you can also accept side quests from many of the fascinating locals that dot Rodentia. Each of them is a delight, with different types of flavored text to add to the rich world you occupy. Seriously, if anything about this game shines, it's the throwaway speech boxes of the NPCs of this world. It's a joy to talk to each one. Aim to do so because it will only enrich your experience.
Small Saga is a generic RPG experience with only some challenge to any battle, and a vibrant world only given life by the characters you control and those you meet and fight. We recommend it, if only for the writing alone. You know, until it breaks the illusion by inserting those strange modern internet colloquialisms. Other than that, it's a great game. Welcome to yet another installment of maybe just one more roguelike, in which G2D tries playing Astral Ascent.
Ooh, another multiplayer exploration action game with several characters to pick from with their own abilities and attacks with elements to equip. Wait, we played this last year. We even reviewed it separately, remember?
Yes, we all remember what that game is, but this is Astral Ascent, a very similar game with worse meta progression and several new elements that are very poorly explained.
To defeat the many enemies of the islands you encounter, you're equipped with a combo attack which will fill your mana with each hit and combos well with your spells. Every character also has a special attack, be it a counter, stronger strike, or a recall of several projectiles. Now, spells. There are 4 you can equip per character, all different or all the same. Each has an elemental attribute, specific striking distance, and a special effect on screen. Unfortunately, these spells are mapped to one button. You can scroll through them using another button, or mash the spell button to cycle through them. If you're lucky, you'll remember which symbols represent which spell, or the fact you can't reuse a spell until all 4 spells are spent. This seems like an annoying system because every spell effect is one button. Your dash forward, your flippy dippy, your explosion drop, all one button. That seems catastrophically confusing.
If you like roguelikes with platforming and incremental unlocks over several hours and attempts, then this game is for you. Please enjoy.
Puns are fun, but when they invade every conversation and are one of 2 dialogue choices for your silent protagonist, they wear a little thin.
As thin as the aesthetic of this turn-based RPG with a paper look and feel.
In this adventure, you enter the doughy pant and hoodie combo of Loaf, a wad of dough brought to life by Papa Baker, and his fantastic journey to save a kingdom, prove his father's innocence, and stop the Ember Kingdom from resurrecting. To do this, you'll need the help of Lint, a nervous raccoon, Yagi, a goat warrior, Chloe, a detective, and oh wow, I don't even remember her name. She's evil until she realizes you're the good guys and her group is the bad guys. It's a very, very paper-thin plot thread.
Ha! Oh, the pun! My sides are splitting!
Beyond the story that is really only there to bore you, there's the turn-based battle system. Each attack is a small minigame that you must time correctly or put up with until the attack finally fires off. Each has its own symbol and a symbol within a symbol that you can choose to pay attention to as well. There's a weakness diamond graphic that appears once in the game and never again. I never cared enough to pay attention. Some weapons deal enough damage for the attributes to never matter.
Every level up nets you the ability to increase your HP, your RP, or your WP, the third of which is completely superfluous. HP is your health power, WP is your special attack power for each of your weapons, and RP is your special attack power for your rarely ever used special attacks. This set of points is basically reserve points for if you ever run low on WP. Why not just combine the two?
Born of Bread was not ready for release and is still receiving updates that change the game significantly from its hastily patched, glitchy, graphically unpleasant version that could have used a delay of several months. Wait to play this game, specifically on console, because it's a very rough time and really needs some work done on it. Hell hath no fury like a dude with a chainsaw leg, 7 different guns, and a thirst for vengeance. You take on the role of Johnny Turbo as he shoots, scoots, and chainsaws across a futuristic set of environments, all in pursuit of fucking the people who fucked him.
I think Johnny should thank them. I mean, not many people survive getting parts of their head, arms, and legs blown off to tell the tale, let alone live long enough to remind the people that did that to them why you always double tap.
Well said. On your way, you'll also be a part of an overarching evil AI plot, all of which falls by the wayside while you fill your enemies with enough bullets to make America jealous. And that's okay. A game with this much gore and ways to spread it across the pavement like butter doesn't need an engaging story to explain why everything that isn't you has to die in the most painful way possible. You can get invested in Johnny's revenge plot that leads him on a path to stop an evil AI or something, or you can just thank whatever higher power that gives you more of this game to skate through enemies with your chainsaw leg.
We highly recommend this game for any of you FPS lovers out there who love playgrounds that don't yet have bits of your enemies littered around them. So fun. Big booms, plenty of splattering, all wrapped in a pleasant graphical style that looks and feels nostalgic and detailed. It's Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars! On the Nintendo Switch.
The game that had the world by the balls, hoping for a remaster so every annoying internet person can continue arguing that Geno belongs in Smash, but now in HD. Or whatever this is. This adorable art style transferred seamlessly into 3D, and it makes everything look amazing.
This game has needed a remake remaster for years, and now we finally have it. The strange bits of mistranslation and misinforming oddities that existed in the original are fixed, as far as we can tell. Not only that, there's the addition of cutscenes to introduce key moments of the game, minigames control more precisely, and, we will continue to mention this, everything is furore-flapping adorable.
With the updates to everything, we should point out, the game is much easier than its SNES original. Indicators exist to show when action commands are needed. There are triple attacks that do more damage and or heal your whole party. And if you nail those action commands, all regular attacks strike every enemy on the field. So you're doling out a lot more damage.
Not only that, your inventory for items has been expanded greatly, and any overflow items go into a storage bin in Mario's pad, which is easily reachable from the overworld map. Don't worry though, even with the lower difficulty of this version, it doesn't come without its challenges. Every so often there are special, stronger versions of enemies that appear in battle. They give frog coins when defeated. But again, this game is much easier. Still highly recommended.
The only bit of this game I actually enjoyed is something I don't think anyone can accurately explain to me, understand, or win every time. Wheels! It feels like strategic gambling, and I was very happy with the effects and when my enemies fell over. I don't fully grasp why or what, but I had fun either way. Now Andy will talk for a bit.
You love handing me these paragraphs, don't you?
Every day, yes.
Sea of Stars is someone's ideal machination of a mishmash of other RPG styles and mechanics, but we're not sure whose. I'm going to take a careful step over the trite comparisons others make about Sea of Stars to discuss the battle system, which is rather simple. Easy to pick up, but boring in the long term. Every so often, enemies will appear with a slot reel of weaknesses denoted through symbols floating above their heads. If the player doesn't knock out one or all of these weaknesses, the enemy will deliver a much stronger attack. Because of this, every fight becomes a pop quiz where you must select the correct ability that knocks out the correct weaknesses in an allotted amount of movements, rather than using the move you want to use to defeat the enemy you want to defeat.
It's kind of annoying because you don't learn or own some of the symbols until later in the game, so you just have to field stronger attacks due to weaknesses you have no strength to fight.
I thought I was talking! Anyway, beyond the combat, the story is uninteresting, most characters are featureless planks of wood with no defining traits. Except Garle, but that's only because everyone else is so boring.
At least Wheels was fun.
Are you sure it was fun? Do you understand why it's fun? Are you sure you understand?
Stop looking at me, let's move on.
Well, this looks like a mess.
I suppose when you only look at the final battle, which amounts to a gauntlet you have to run through the entirety of, while projectiles that can throw you into the atmosphere of Venus fly at you, yes, this does look like quite the mess, doesn't it? But if you zoom out a bit, you'll see that, yeah, the whole game is a big fucking mess. This 3D platforming collectathon features you as a dragon saving your siblings, who are eggs, from a handful of environments with confusing through lines and mechanics, and very specifically space jumps so you can just barely make them every time.
The story appears to be about this bat who doesn't have friends? Or something. We're not sure. It's extremely flimsy as to why anything happens. The resolution is unsatisfying, the gameplay is rather boring, and guiding yourself through the game is difficult because of mechanics that aren't explained and currencies you aren't told how to collect. This is a hard game to recommend. So we won't! On to the next.
I know nothing of RoboCop lore, story, characters, or world, but I can safely say that this game single-handedly made me excited to see any of the movies. Any of them. Also, I have no idea if this takes place during any part of the canon RoboCop timeline. It's just enjoyable anyway.
RoboCop Rogue City is an FPS adventure game where RoboCop stomps his way through Detroit, stopping crimes, throwing goons into and through walls, and collecting OCP chips to upgrade his abilities and gun. There's corruption going on in OCP, which funds the Detroit police, and there is also a criminal uprising taking hold both politically and radically that RoboCop must grow informed of and stop.
13 to 15 hours of this game are a rather boring walking simulator with a gun, with intermittent moments of
wow, that was cool,
and the final 2 hours is that moment of
wow, that was cool,
for 2 whole hours. Villains are revealed and get their resolutions, the story comes to a satisfying end, the frantic energy that takes hold when you're infiltrating enemy strongholds expands itself over the entirety of the last 2 hours of this game.
That's not to say you must play most of this game before it gets good. There are many great parts. The last 2 hours are those great parts for an entire 2 hours, leading to a spectacle of a final fight. Despite some shaky physics and glitches that occur throughout the game, Rogue City is a solid experience we highly recommend no matter how much of RoboCop's lore you're familiar with. Let us begin with 2 major issues that plague this game. 1. The game is entirely too eager. Trailers for this game led me to believe that Wonder Flowers would happen in a select few levels, with their effects being temporary and therefore more desired. However, they appear in every single level, which means nothing lasts. Everything comes and goes too quickly. Wonder Flowers force you to swiftly digest and understand the before and after of grabbing the flower, suddenly get used to the changes, and complete the level under brand new conditions. Because of the overflow of information, I only really remembered 2 Wonder Flower effects, the one where gameplay forcibly slows down, and the one where you walk on walls. The rest are too brief to remember. Perhaps limiting Wonder Flowers to once every few levels would have increased their significance, interest, and fun.
Time for a James break, where I break up the 2 very long paragraphs Andy says. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a brand new platforming adventure featuring Mario, Luigi, and several others as they encounter new power-ups, new friends, and a new adventure in the Flower Kingdom. Bowser has invaded the kingdom in search of the power of the Wonder Seeds, and it's up to Mario, Luigi, Daisy, and more to take care of them. Now back to your regularly scheduled Andy.
The second issue, the badge system. There are many you can equip, such as the one that makes you run at full speed, the one that makes you invisible, and the one that extends a vine from your hand to walls. But our playthrough only involved us equipping the one that gave us the best jump. Except for swimming levels that left us frustrated with the swimming controls, so we equipped the dolphin kick badge for that one level, and then back to the better jump badge. Some of these badges seem extremely situational. As someone who loves the custom move system in Smash Bros. 3DS Wii U, I was really hoping that some badges in Wonder gave characters better moves, or more distinctive ones at the very least, but the most you can do is jump better or run faster.
Welcome back to another James break, where I break up the 2 very long paragraphs Andy says. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a game we've been discussing for quite a while. It's also a decent adventure game, a decent platformer, with an awful camera that will fail multiple players often, and a recurring boss that serves as an annoying waste of time. This concludes our review of Super Mario Bros. Wonder. We now return you to your regularly scheduled reviews.
James took one look at this and said, "It looks like Menus the game," and walked out of the room, so I assume I'm free to say what I want about this game. Star Ocean The Second Story R is a total remake of the initial release on the original PlayStation. I never played it, nor the PSP remake that already came out, but I've been repeatedly floored by the game at various plot points, mechanic unlocks, and gameplay advancements. Star Ocean The Second Story R is one of the most complicated RPGs I have ever played. Depending on your experience with RPGs, you're probably judging me right now, but hopefully I'll be able to adequately explain what I mean. The simple aspect of the game is the battle system, which is reminiscent of the early Tales of games. You run around in a real-time arena, slapping foes with your weapon and using special techniques and spells by consuming magic. If the enemy runs out of life first, you win, and you gain experience from that victory, which earns you levels, BP, and SP. Using BP, you can improve a character's special moves and magic spells. You can also use BP to improve a character's passive performance in battle, such as having them deal extra damage to an enemy's shield, or having them cast spells faster. And then there's SP. Oh boy, SP. You can spend SP on specialties, which is this incredibly long list of capabilities that characters can do. Every character you meet has talents, which helps inform who they are as a character, as well as their proclivity towards certain abilities. There's the item creation menu, where you can do things like writing, which is how you write novels that boost characters' skills. There's the specialty menu, where you can do things like fishing and pickpocketing, and when you get good enough at specialties, you can unlock super specialties, where the whole party uses its collective talent to benefit as a whole. Super specialties like remaking and contraband are where this game truly shines, causing for some wild character builds. That all might sound like quite a lot, but keep in mind, this is only one subsection in the menu of Star Ocean Second Story R. There's loads of other mechanics, like the brake system, the bonus gauge, and private actions. There is simply so much inside of Star Ocean The Second Story R, and I'm really enjoying the process of finding it all, stacking it like a house of cards, and holding my breath while it all teeters.
Now that we have our reviews for each of those games, it's time we get down to business and give out our 4 extra awards along with our best, worst, and okayest Game of the Year awards. Excellent idea, right? Those 4 awards are:
the Curly Fries Award, which will go to the best remake, remaster, port from this year.
The RoboCop Rogue City Award, which if you remember our Evil West Award from last year, is very similar to that.
The Please Nickel and Dime Me Award, which will go to the game we certainly hope has DLC, paid or unpaid, to extend playtime and give us more of its sweet, delicious world.
Worst Game Mechanic, our favorite award to give out, which goes to the worst game mechanics. Fairly self-explanatory, isn't it? We even have a saying we like to speak when we give this one out.
Those 10 awards were some of the hardest to give out this year. Because of the quality of games? Because we didn't play as many as we wanted to? Because nothing was as Machina Blade, as Hyper Light Drifter, or as a short hike as in previous years? Who knows? What we do know is every game that's eligible for awards this year.
9 Years of Shadows,
Hi-Fi Rush,
SpongeBob SquarePants The Cosmic Shake,
Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe,
Tales of Symphonia Remastered,
Night Dracula's Revenge,
Protodroid Delta,
The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Wait, this isn't alphabetical.
No, it's not.
Great.
Ravenlock,
Born of Bread,
RoboCop Rogue City,
Astral Ascent,
Small Saga,
On Guard,
Pseudoregalia,
Super Mario RPG The Legend of the Seven Stars,
Turbo Overkill,
Super Mario Bros. Wonder,
Sonic Superstars,
Sea of Stars,
Metroid Prime Remastered,
Trinity Trigger,
Vernal Edge,
Clive and Wrench,
Helvetii,
Gravity Circuit,
Cavern of Dreams,
Star Ocean The Second Story R,
and The Pathless. Now that we know what's up for awards, it's time to actually give them away. As is tradition, we're going to start at the bottom and give out our worst Game of the Year awards. These special awards will go to the single worst experiences in gaming we both had this year. I know I said single, but I ran into an issue this year. I had so many awful gaming experiences it became nearly impossible to pick just one. So I'm going to go ahead and group these together. My worst Game of the Year award will go to, collectively, Born of Bread, Pseudoregalia, Vernal Edge, and Clive and Wrench. Protodroid Delta just missed the mark, but I could actually complete that game. We'll start with Born of Bread, which was not optimized for release. Innumerable glitches prevented progress, major updates were and are required before the game can be even considered playable, and there are so many mechanics that fight each other, I'm left wondering why some of them even exist. This feels like an impeccably underwhelming, overcomplicated RPG that is a paper aesthetic just for notoriety alone. Awful. Next, Pseudoregalia. Strictly built for people who analyze frame data, have the finger dexterity of a chipmunk swimming in Red Bull, and love Super Mario 64. all of which I do not have and or love. Also, there is still no map, which makes replays and guidance impossible. Vernal, Edge, and Clive and Wrench fall under the same banner of I couldn't complete this garbage. Both of these games locked me into boss fights I could not escape from, no fixes exist so I can retreat, regroup, and retry, and I'm forever stuck wishing I could move on or power up, and I cannot. All 4 of these games are a special type of awful that I wish to leave in 2023 with the rest of the swill.
As much as I want to chastise James for sitting down and not choosing one single game for his Worst Game of the Year award, I found myself facing a similar issue this year. Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was so unengaging I couldn't even finish it. Tales of Symphonia Remastered is the worst version of the original so far, and the competition was already fierce. But I do think the game deserving of my Worst Game of the Year award is the one that managed to be disappointing like Zelda, suffered from terrible performance like Symphonia, and is yet another misstep on a long hike full of potholes. That game would be Sonic Superstars. Playing this game with 2 players is just the worst way to experience it. The camera frequently swaps priority, and the secondary player is constantly respawning to catch up, and the unique abilities of each character make all of them superior to boring old Sonic. But even then, playing single player is hardly fun. Levels are filled with spikes of speed, followed by head-on collision halts, and littered between are sudden loading screens and confusing teleport points. And after levels, there are boss fights that either last entirely too long, or turn into vapor using the Chaos Emerald powers. That there is the main issue with Sonic Superstars. It only has 2 speeds. It goes so fast you can't even tell what's happening, or so interminably slow you may very well start begging for it to end. And for that, Sonic Superstars is my worst game of the year.
Oh look, our okayest awards are here. This year was extremely hard to measure because most games this year were just okay. Like they are every year, but look at our list. It's made of nearly all okay games. Because of this, Andy and I came together and decided to give our okayest award to the same game. The joint G2D okayest game of the year award goes to Trinity Trigger. Now let's let Andy tell us why.
Thanks, James. Real pal right there. Alright, here we go. Trinity Trigger is a very successful modern interpretation of Secret of Mana or other top-down multiplayer action RPGs like... no.
Well, anyway.
Trinity Trigger seems to be slightly at odds with itself. There are 3 playable characters, it is after all 3-player co-op, and every character has multiple usable weapons over the course of the story. Would you guess the characters play differently, especially given how different they look? Well, they don't! They might start out with different moves equipped by default, but each character is effectively a blank slate. Now, this isn't inherently a bad thing. The issue comes while progressing through the story, which has a hideously uneven pace. When one character finds one weapon, another character finds a different weapon. One character might have a weapon drought, while the other 2 fill out their equipment slots. If the trio is meant to be functionally identical, why not make them behave as such? In addition to weapons, each of the playable 3 can equip different perks to themselves to make them somehow stronger or more efficient. And there is a staggering number of perks that can be equipped. Like, it's straight up unnecessary how many you can equip, all for purely incremental benefits. I can't imagine keeping up to date on all 3 characters' perks. And meanwhile, if every character is the same, how can you cater to any particular strength or cover any weaknesses? After dealing with all of this messy complication, actually playing Trinity Trigger is very simple. Its combat is filled with instant gratification hack and slash, and the exploration doesn't have much variety to it. Although Trinity Trigger is an enjoyable game, it's also kind of all over the place. It's both too simple and too complicated. I think the co-op really saved it.
That's the most words Andy has ever said.
I hate you.
Next time, don't write so much for yourself. All of that was verbatim.
Next time, realize what I write is meant to be cut down into a handful of sentences. I very much really dislike you right now. Now, how about we get to our 4 extra awards before we touch those shiny Best Game of the Year awards? How about we start with our Curly Fries Award? As we mentioned, this award goes to the best remaster remake port that came out in 2023. This award, quite easily, will be given to Super Mario RPG.
The remaster of this game was always a question hanging in the air, and now that it's finally here, I can safely say it was worth the wait. With the updates to the battle system, minigames, menus, item carrying and overflow, and the general feel of the game, it really has been brought into a modern age. Not only that, it doesn't have a higher barrier of entry. This is one of the best RPGs for anyone of any RPG skill level. There's even even a breezy mode to make the game even lighter on those with less RPG experience. This game is more than just curly fries with your adventure, it's a large drink, a side of onion rings, and a ticket to the restaurant's themed fun park within walking distance. It's truly a masterpiece on the Switch that only elevates the already high opinions many of us had of the SNES original. Only this time, more people can have opinions about the game because of the many fixes we mentioned. This is an excellent RPG, Mario adventure, and overall game. 1,000,000,000% deserving of this award.
Our next award, the RoboCop Rogue City Award, goes to the game that was outstanding in many ways, but didn't quite fit into our best or okayest categories. Much like our Evil West Award went to the game of the same name, this award will go to RoboCop Rogue City! I was already a fan of the RoboCop universe and awaited a game that showcased the narratives and characters RoboCop had to offer, so this game was a refreshing experience for me. The references did not go unnoticed, the characters were fun to see and interact with again. You really do feel like RoboCop as he stomps through Detroit, stopping crime, punching goons so hard they perish on impact, and fielding every bullet because he wasn't built with knee joints.
At least that's what we assume. Why else wouldn't he be able to duck behind the many knee-high walls that dot battlefields? Oh, also this game is great. I don't know RoboCop that well, but now I want to. The violence and how you plow through enemies is an extremely engaging experience, sure, but the characters are also interesting and unique. The subplots of experiencing RoboCop's past life interfering with his duties is interesting. As RoboCop, you change lives by rescuing people from their criminal lives, stop people from making extremely dangerous mistakes. Then you get to experience the intoxicating enemy plowing gameplay for an entire 2 hours toward the end for a send-off that really makes you want to know more about this universe. It's really only held back by the too long walking simulator sequences and the glitches. The glitches are aplenty. Sometimes they're funny. Sometimes you get stuck in a wall and have to restart. Otherwise, great game. Very much deserves this award.
Now for our third extra award, the one James wouldn't let me name, our Please Nickel and Dime Me award, which sounds very wrong in so many ways. This will go to the game we will gladly pay for an extension to in a DLC format so we can have more to chew on. The world, the characters, the gameplay, doesn't matter. We want more of it. Considering our list and the games already considered our worst and okayest, there isn't a lot of competition this year, is there?
Of course there is. It's just the Titans that get to fight it out this year instead of a pile of really good games. While it would be difficult to imagine more of this game happening, we would be elated to see it, which is why Small Saga gets this award. Small Saga is an excellent world with every character, nuance, nook, cranny, crack, crevice, eerie floating boss hands, and nearly every text box feeding the fact the world is huge compared to us. To you at every moment is just great. Everything fits together so well. Yeah, you get those moments of, why are these words that should mean nothing to these characters here? But if you overlook them, the world is excellent. It would be hard to imagine more of this game happening considering it had a solid ending and every fight in the game is scripted and required, but we would gladly shell out some cash to see what could be done.
I don't care what it is, just make it more looming hands reaching the battle from the darkness beyond. Make every boss that. That was cool.
Very cool. Now we move on to our final extra award before we give out our Best Game of the Year awards.
Worst game mechanic. Not an award anyone should try to win. Considering what it goes to every year, the bar to win it is so low you'd have to dig to find it. But just like every year, this award will go to, collectively,
Battle Passes, Loot Boxes, and difficult to earn in-game currency.
Also, don't forget our, famous catchphrase for this award.
Loot boxes are shit.
There isn't much more to say about these mechanics as they continue to infest and invade game companies and series we all enjoy, which means more of them can accept this award every year. I wonder what would happen if these mechanics disappeared. Would this award even exist anymore?
We'd probably have to replace it with some other permanent fixture in gaming, like a permanent Best Port award.
A permanent Curly Fries award. That seems fair.
Weren't those awards great? I thought they were great. Now it's finally time, friends, family, country people. It's time for us to give out our Best Game of the Year awards. These special trinkets forged in the fires of space hell are only for the cherry on top of the cherry on top of the cherry of gaming this year. My top choice for Best Game of the Year is Gravity Circuit. There was some competition for this one, but this game came hot off the heels of my first Mega Man X playthrough, so I was hungry for something similar, something excellent, and something with throwable enemies. We reviewed this game earlier in the year, so a lot of my thoughts have already been expressed, but since then it has received updates that improved gameplay, a boss rush mode, and other stuff I'm still unaware of. I really enjoyed double jumping through levels after I unlocked the double jump, which really makes this game. I loved serving each enemy my own brand of these hands, then throwing them into the abyss, or even better, at other enemies. I'm elated to present Gravity Circuit with this award and implore others to play this game. It's really fucking good. It's one I'll be replaying yearly as I do with Metroid Dread, and as Andy does with A Short Hike and Hyper Light Drifter. So fucking good. Oh, if you want our other thoughts on this game, check out our review.
In all honesty, I haven't beaten my selected game yet. As of this writing, I'm about 45 hours in, but I swear it feels like a quarter of my playtime has been messing around in menus, and I've loved every minute of it. My game of the year gets handed over to Star Ocean the Second Story R, and it is mostly because of the menus. I love how the specialties just keep getting more and more complicated. When you first unlock SP, you get pretty basic things like turning a piece of iron into a little bangle that boosts your defense, but then you get more materials that can make more equipment, and you find more ways to transform that equipment, and then you discover that your success rate is dependent on your specialty level, but then you find items that improve your success rate, and then you find out how to make those items yourself. The specialties are so carefully created to specifically cater to one tiny area of the game, but never forget to be a part of the whole as well. Using specialties like blacksmith and remaking, you can get some truly powerful equipment. In my personal playthrough, I've got Reyna's skills and equipment lowering her spellcasting time and MP cost so that she's just firing off the most powerful spell in the game every 10 seconds. And I've got Claude's weapons boosting his critical hit chance, as well as forcing him to heal health and magic every time he lands a critical hit. And even though I have this sensation of being as impenetrable as a mountain, I'm still dying to arena fights and bosses. The game is still pushing me to be creative with my use of specialties. It knows its systems can be broken, and demands they be broken further. I love that! Above all, I think special mention is deserving of pickpocketing. Once you learn this specialty, you can walk up to an NPC and press a button, and that NPC's inventory of 3 items appears. You have 3 total chances to steal anything, but you can also use perfume to reset your chances. But what's incredible is that NPCs all have specific items in their pocket. Soldiers will have armor and weapons, but higher ranked soldiers will have better equipment with lower odds of success. Random townspeople will have herbs or money. Kids will have candy or toys. Librarians will have books and fanfiction? I think it's an unbelievably genius method of world building. The ability itself incentivizes me to use it, since there are some great things you can find in random people's pockets, but to then slyly force me to learn about the person I'm stealing from, the relationships they have, and the status of the world around me is something I still can't believe they managed to do. For that alone, Star Ocean the Second Story R deserves and demands my Game of the Year award.
Dang. I'm gonna give Andy a break before he talks about more of Star Ocean as our outro instead of some music or something. Enjoy his voice while he gets more and more excited about the game. Thank you for watching our reviews and our award show. What were your favorite games of 2023? Let us know in the comments. Now back to Andy talking about the specialties in Star Ocean Second Story R.
Ooh! Well, there's art, where you can make lots of different kinds of unique items, such as one-time use battle cards. There's customization, which helps a character customize a weapon from their unique category into a new weapon using the right materials. Don't you dare fade me out! There's appraising, which is how you identify unknown objects you might find. There's crafting, which is one way to create unique accessory equipment.